And welcome back to Habs Unfiltered. I am your host, Blain, and I'm joined by my co host, Matt Smith.
Good afternoon.
We're at episode 420. So, for those of you who partake in the newly legal uh, issues up here in Canada, enjoy.
That's the time to
Uh,
do it.
yeah, it is the Christmas season. People should be on holidays. So, if you are going to partake, don't drive.
Right. Don't be an
It goes
idiot.
for, yeah, it goes for alcohol as well. All right. So, it's been about a week since we were on the last episode. And, a couple things might have happened here and there,
Yeah, a couple little things. Yeah.
a couple little things. Uh, we may as well just start off with the larger uh, file, and that would be the Carrier to Montreal in return for Justin Barron. So I've got some thoughts on that, especially seeing as how, he grew up like just up the road here. So,
Right.
but I wanted to get to your thoughts first.
I just think that the Canadians took a surplus defenseman. I was a little bit surprised when they signed Justin Barron to that 2-year contract in the offseason.
Mhm.
Um, but it was an area of need, being a right shot, and I think that they just didn't want to give up on the guy, bringing him in for in that part of that Lekanen trade. I think they wanted to see if he had a little bit more in the tank. And then with Reinbacher going down with an injury and maybe Mayu not being 100% ready to join the NHL, I think it was just, we got to use this guy or we got to keep this guy just because he's a right-handed shot. And even though he showed a little bit of flash throughout the games that he played with the Canadians, he was never a guy that could really be consistent, especially in his own end. And I just think that the time was right, and I think you had a team in the Nashville that's trying to make a bigger move. They're trying to lose some salary, and for me, I think it was more of a no-brainer for the Canadians. In the deal, they got the established player, they got the better player to the deal, and could this be part of something else? Could this be a way of saying that a guy like Savard might be moved at the deadline? Who knows? We know that Ken Hughes and Jeff Gordon, they usually keep their cards pretty close to their chest. But bringing in a right-handed shot defenseman who is French, so that's going to help. That's going to appease all those people and all those fans. But you bring in a guy that can play 20 minutes a night, who you're likely going to, I would say, probably match up next to Caden Gooley. I think I think they made a good deal. I really do, and I wish Justin Barron all the best. I hope that he has nothing but success in Nashville. It's just he wasn't a fit, and I don't think he was a fit moving forward. I think that's more what I was looking at. It's the fact that he was part of a deal. Yes, they gave him every opportunity. However, you look moving forward when you have guys like Mayu in your system, Reinbacher, um, and then who knows who they're going to get with this upcoming draft. He wasn't a piece moving forward. So again, wish him all the best, and we'll see who ends up being the winner of this trade.
Well, I honestly, I think both teams are going to end up getting what they're looking for. With Barron, you've got a guy who he is going to take time. He
Yes.
always takes time to start a season. It's just it, it takes him time to build himself up. It'll take a little bit more time for him to reach whatever potential he had, but he's going to get more leeway to do that in Nashville because, to
if
be
you
honest,
look
the
at
blue
if
line's
you look
worse.
well if you look at any team over the last few years, Nashville's pretty damn good at developing defensemen.
Yeah, there's that too, right?
Right.
Um,
So he might go there. He might, and he should get more opportunity. He'll get the more
he will.
ice time, and you never know. It just might be that switch that clicks on, and you might see him putting up a little bit more points. Maybe he just needed that more consistent basis. And some people are gonna argue and say, that's the second young defenseman that you've moved on from, the other one being Jordan Harris. But we'll get into
Well,
we'll get into that player that Jordan Harris was traded for a little bit longer. But I think so far that's worked out very well for the Montreal Canadiens.
I don't think it's so much they moved on from Harris. They just that was the price they had to pay.
Yeah.
As for Barron, I don't know if it's so much moving on from a young guy than it is finding uh, that targeted spot. So all
Well,
year long,
they jumped at an opportunity.
exactly.
I'm not going to say they took advantage of Nashville, but they pretty much did. Nashville's in a spot where they needed to move some people out. I think there's a bigger move coming there, and
Yeah.
again, they got the better player at the end of the day.
Well, with Montreal bringing in Carrier, you got the veteran right-handed defenseman that they were looking for to kind of support the young blue line. So now you have
Right.
Caden Gooley, who can go back to the left side. You can put him with a Carrier, who's a more defensive-minded type of player. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's mobile. Yeah, he's got a good first pass, but now Gooley can focus on his offense
Right.
and play on his strong side. Then you've got someone who's going to, he's got a couple more years left to his deal. So you're not going to have to be forced to rush in Mayu. You're not going to have to be forced to rush in Reinbacher. So they can buy some time. And
Absolutely.
also, I mean, because he's got a couple more years left on his deal at about 250K more than Savard, you've got someone who gives you that opening to trade one of your veterans.
Right.
So Savard, yeah, you could if someone comes up and says, "Yeah, we're going to give you what you're looking for,"
Yeah.
send you to that visit. Bye bye. He's
And,
gone.
and of course, that doesn't open up, that doesn't close the door. It doesn't close the door
No,
on a return for a guy like Savard.
no,
It's very well known that he's well liked in the organization, and he's well liked in the locker room, and he does a lot of small things for the guys that are on the ice. And I think he's been a great mentor. If it does happen that he does move on at the trade deadline, then well, that we'll have a show about that as well. But
yeah.
um, I think that they're going to keep the door open for him, but again, it could change things with Carrier coming in.
Now I know there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be complaining because they traded Lehkonen and they got Barron back, but they
Yeah,
also got a second round pick. So this is what it shakes out to.
yeah,
Alexander Carrier, right hand D man, 28 years old, signed for a couple more years, who's going to play about 20 minutes a night and play on the penalty kill. He's not going to
right.
put up a ton of points, but hey, whatever.
Yeah,
Um, but that second round pick was turned into Michael Hage. So
they traded up. That's
they
part of the
traded up.
trade up. Yeah,
Exactly. So it's not a bad trade.
no,
It's just the trade tree is expanded.
yeah,
Um, and in this case, the benefits of bringing in that veteran right-handed guy, I mentioned Gooley going back to his left side. You have someone who can help on the penalty kill, eat up some of those minutes. Uh, you're balancing your blue line a little bit better, and you're opening up the door to having someone to step in Savard's role for the next few years. Plus, he's what 7 years younger, something like that, than Savard. He doesn't
who's
play the
that?
same style, but he's younger.
Oh, Carey?
Carrier,
He's
yeah,
a few years younger. Yeah, a few years younger, and I saw
about
some
the same
people on
price.
saw some people complaining a little bit on social media just based on his size, and from the clips that
Yeah,
I've seen and from the kind of the just the breakdowns that I've seen about the player, it's a guy that plays above his size, and he's more of a he's still a defensive defenseman. And he gets in the lanes, he blocks shots, he uses his stick, he can transition, he can skate. Give the guy a chance. We're gonna see him. We're gonna see him in the lineup on Friday against the Red Wings. So we're gonna see
maybe,
him.
maybe.
Oh, St. Louis said that he's gonna be in the lineup.
Well, he said he was going to talk to him Friday, so we'll see.
Yeah,
Even if he's
Pro-
not, that's fine.
probably in the lineup. Let's just
Yeah.
say that he'll play one of the games. Let's just say it might not be the first one. He'll play the second one.
Um. Now, looking at Carrier, the what they've got on hand is, like I mentioned, he's like you said, he's smaller. He's 5'11". He's lighter. He's very mobile. He's very smart with the puck in his own zone. He's good on the transition. He is solid defensively. I mean, he was on the all rookie team back in 2021. So
Right.
it's not like they got, some also tread, an also
Exactly.
ran throw
Exactly.
in player. It's
Yep.
someone who's going to be there for a couple of years.
Right.
He's a stopgap. So
Yep.
what they're doing, it's This, in my opinion, is opening them up to other moves while supporting the young defensemen that they have in that on their depth charts that surpassed Barron.
Right.
So,
And
um,
You know me, like I brought Barron up multiple times on this show, and I believe that even some of the players in Laval have passed him on the depth chart.
yeah.
And again, now this is going to be one of those players that's not going to step in the way of one of these guys joining the lineup. And we'll say it again, we'll see what happens. If Savard's moved, don't be surprised if Mayu comes up for the rest of the year.
Um, yeah, that's a possibility. Could be
Or
William Trudeau
or
to support to protect
yes,
them.
or depending on how Laval's doing, maybe they're going to want to keep him there for any sort of push for a playoff
Yeah.
spot or better playoff position or whatever else.
Because if anyone's gone to watch Laval in the last little bit, Mayu had that amazingly hot start, but he's
Right.
cooled off quite a bit, and he's had
Yes.
some problems on and off
Yeah.
uh, defensively. Which, I mean, yeah, he's been having that throughout his career. He's more of an offensive defenseman, so yeah, he's going to have some hiccups, but he doesn't seem to have the confidence he had at the start of the year. So I'm 100% on board with bringing in that veteran and leaving him down there for a while. Because
Right.
if they do have a team that's, it looks like they're going to make a very deep run in the playoffs this year.
Right.
So that could only help him because he's definitely not getting playoff time in Montreal
No.
at all.
No.
Uh, but it does set up Hughes really well for the summer when he can start making some more moves and kind of building up that blue line a little bit better. I also think there's going to be a trade probably after the trade freezes up, and there's going to be a goaltender brought in. I think.
Yeah. Honestly, I was kind of thinking to myself, when is enough going to be enough? And I know we've talked about Primo quite a bit. Montembeault is going to start the first game tomorrow, or yeah, tomorrow. He is going to play the first game. But are they going to show confidence in Primo to play him in the back to back? Are they going to go back to Montembeault, or are you going to see maybe somebody get called up? I don't think it's going to happen as of right yet, but
No,
that is the next area of need.
if the game Friday goes well for Montreal, like there's not a ton of shots. Montembeault doesn't have to work his tail off. He probably gets the next start too because I don't think
Yeah.
they have any confidence in Primo.
But
If
is that one of those things that you would say if he does play back to back, then the kind of the writing is on the wall that he's out the door.
Oh, yeah, no, I totally believe he's the writing is already on the wall and it's been chiseled into the wall.
Right,
Um, but if they do have a hard game for Montembeault, like he's had a lot of work, I would not be surprised to see Dobesh called up for a game,
right,
so he gets a start.
right. His problem as well has just been staying healthy. So anytime that I think the organization has maybe wanted to make a change, it's like, well,
He
we
starts,
can't, right?
yeah,
So
unfortunately,
we've seen other teams make some moves for goaltenders. If Hughes wants to make it happen, he'll make it happen.
true. Now from here, what I'm thinking more, if we can move on from here, I mean, the trade is broken down fairly well. We understand what they're getting, and it's nothing that's going to move the needle towards a playoff
No,
spot.
no,
But what it's going to do is it's supporting the rebuild plan as it stands,
right.
um, providing a little bit of support to the young defense.
Yeah. As long
My
as
my
people don't
biggest
come
my
in,
Yeah,
as long as people don't come in with the expectation this guy's going to come in and be Cal McCarr, then if you're realistic and this is a guy that's going to come in, he's going to eat minutes, he's going to help the young defense, he's going to even help the older defense because they're not going to have to play as many minutes.
exactly.
This
This is
guy
more like
is
Cale McCarr's cousin Bob.
exactly right. This guy is just going to help reduce people's minutes. He's going to play, he's going to play the penalty kill. He's going to do what he's got to do. Just temper your expectations.
Yeah,
right?
and it's good. You take some of those harder minutes away. The younger guys like Jack Eye and
Yeah,
Gooley and Hudson, they're going to have a little bit easier of a go.
right. Or a guy like
Like I think,
or a guy like Matheson doesn't have to play 28 minutes a night.
yeah, exactly. And Matheson Hudson pairing can still continue on. Gooley can go with Carrier, Jack Eye, and now Struble. This
Right.
opens the door for Struble to come back in because let's be honest, Barron was just being showcased. Struble did not deserve to be
Yes.
set aside.
No, we didn't. But it pretty
So
much makes Struble a 7 as of right now.
I don't think it moves him up or down anything. Is he's pretty much in the same spot. Just now he's going to
Yeah.
be getting. It, there's less chance of him platooning in and out as
Right.
much as before.
Right.
Um, and from there, I mean, we've got, geez, there's all kinds of stuff to cover. But why don't we go over to the trip to Russia? So the
Sure.
management group, they all went to they went to Russia. They went to St. Petersburg. They watched Demidov play, and they met with his head coach and his GM. And there's pictures of the whole group of them up there. I mean, it's good that they keep an eye on him. I mean, this has been covered with my friends over at rg.org with a lot of insider information. The biggest thing that they were talking about, though, in if you read the translations and you listen to the interviews that we had from rg.org, uh, Rodberg says they're talking about negotiations.
Yeah, I
Like that's
can't
not
see that.
just a throwaway phrase here.
I can't see that happening.
I'm not saying they're negotiating for him to leave right now.
Yeah.
That's not my expectation. What my
No,
expectation
no,
is
no.
they're
I
negotiating for him
mean,
to leave at the end of the season.
yeah, I can see that's yeah. I cannot see him sticking in the KHL.
Well, not if he's playing less than 10 minutes a fucking game like he's been
Well,
doing
it's
all.
not, and you saw that when the Canadians contingent went overseas, all of a sudden he starts playing a little bit more, getting a little bit more ice time, and kind of being showcased a little bit more as
Yeah.
opposed to keeping a spot on the bench for him. We know it's very well documented that the Russian league does not take kindly to
No.
players that they know that are going to leave to go to North America. And it doesn't
Well, you
matter
look
how
at what,
skilled and it doesn't matter how
yeah.
skilled they are, they're going to be stapled to the bench as a form of a punishment for leaving that league.
Yes. I mean, you look at what they did to Romanov.
Right.
He was their best defenseman
Yeah.
on, I think it was the same team, but with a different management group. But still,
Right.
like he was their best defenseman. He sat and he played what 10 minutes, nine
Yeah.
minutes, because he made it very clear that he was leaving. And Demidov has been doing the same. He played that 3-on-3 tournament. He lit them up.
Yeah.
And now, a guy that's less than his points per 60 leads the KHL and not by a little, by
Right.
like leaps and bounds.
Right. This is the
So,
thing though. Like if you're a coach or a general manager or whatever, and you're looking at a player that just played so well in this tournament and did so well and is shining with confidence. And then all of a sudden it's like, welcome back from this tournament. Here's your spot on the bench. Like, how can you do that? Right? If you want your team to succeed, and we saw it earlier in the year, this guy was putting up mad numbers and he was the rookie of the month. He was this.
yeah,
And fans were just salivating over this guy. And this is what we got at fifth overall. Like other teams made a mistake. Um, and now just to kind of see how that's turned, like fans are still very excited for this player to come in, but you're not seeing the clips like you were because the guy's not getting the opportunity to showcase himself.
that's exactly it. That's exactly it. He's not
And
getting
and and
the chance.
unfortunately, because of that, people are starting to talk more with the Mitchkov comparisons and all that kind of stuff. Even though it's two different drafts, Montreal could have had both the players if they wanted to, but they chose not to.
Sure. Now, I even if they had the opportunity to get them, I don't think they would have both because there's size is an issue in this team. Like they're working their way towards it. They still need skill, yes, but size is an issue. And you look at
Yes.
Michkov, he's not the biggest player. Demidov is larger. So I don't know if they gambled and won on that. Uh, but that's the bottom line. They just saw
Yes. Yes.
whatever their decision making was. We were there. We saw that happen. That's
Yeah.
great. Moving on.
Yeah.
So, um, but the fact that they're there and they're negotiating, I think what they're going to be doing is kind of setting it up so that he can be released from his contract prior to the end of the NHL season because the KHL
Right.
season ends earlier.
Yes.
So maybe before their playoffs, he can leave.
Right.
If they're not going to use him in the playoffs as a black ace or whatever, Montreal gives them a couple bags of money and off he goes to North America.
Right. Yeah.
That's my thinking on that.
Well, I welcome him anytime with open arms to get
Oh,
him out of the
yeah,
situation that he's in.
100%. But once he's in Montreal, who's going to be his mentor? Because I don't think he's someone that should be living by himself. He should live with one of the veterans.
He should.
Who could it
Um,
be?
Originally I was going to say Gallagher, but he's got a baby on the way,
Yeah.
so I think that's going to happen.
Nope.
Um, could it be a guy like Suzuki?
Possibly. Um, Ideally, it would be someone, that's Russian as well. There's nobody there, mind you, on the roster.
Right.
But I don't know. Maybe you could hire Markov as a coach and you can have him
Yeah.
live
Yeah.
there. You're the boarding family now.
Right. Right. Like
But barring that,
it's hard to say. Like
yeah,
they got such a young team as it is.
exactly. Put him up with someone, another European of some kind, someone who can understand it. Maybe over the summer you sign or trade for a veteran Russian player.
Right.
But I think that would be ideal if you're bringing him over, set him up that way. I think
Right.
that would ease his transition to North America.
Right.
All right. So from that European to the next European that we're going to bring up, and that's Patrick Laine.
Power play line, eh?
He's not bad, eh?
He's pretty good. Fourth in
So
goal scoring on the Canadiens in 7 games. I think he's doing okay.
he's doing okay.
Or
6 goals, 7 games,
or the Canadians just aren't doing that well, and that's why he's fourth in goal scoring on the Canadians.
maybe. Now,
One or the other.
obviously, yeah. So all the goals are on the power play. He was like after the game on against Buffalo, he did state that it'd be nice if he got a 5-on-5 goal,
Yeah.
whatever. But 6 goals
Yeah.
on the power play. The Canadiens' power play prior to his arrival was at just over 20%. Since his arrival, is clicking at almost 26.5%.
Oh, we knew what we were getting when they traded for him. And it's very
Exactly.
unfortunate that he had to take that injury at the end of September. But this guy so far has come as advertised. You could tell that
Yes.
he's a step behind, especially during to do with his cardio, and maybe the 5-on-5 play isn't there, and maybe he can't keep up with some of the guys that he's playing with. However, you put him on the spot a la Ovechkin, and he can just stand there like Ovechkin does, and
Yeah.
just take these passes from a couple guys that can really that can put the puck on his stick. And we've seen the results so far with 6 goals in 7 games.
I think he's fitting in great with the group. He seems motivated. He seems like he's if you watched him in Columbus, like it just looked like the shades were pulled down. He didn't really care to be there. Here in
Yeah,
Montreal, um, it's a different animal altogether. Although I
yeah,
do believe he's being a little too hard on himself
he
because he was
is.
talking about his play.
He is, and but I think that's more. I think that's more. Again, it's the mental stuff. The guy just came out of the player
Yeah,
assistance program, and it's very well documented that he is a guy that's too hard on himself, and that's going to be the when if I was a player in the locker room, or if I was a coach, or if I was someone within the management team, trainer, whatever. If I'm hearing that, that's when you have that conversation with the player. and say, look at everything that you've went through, and you got to the player assistance program. You got to look forward. You got to look at all the positives that you're bringing in. You got to like look what you're doing to the fan base, and look how they've responded to you since you've joined this organization, and try to beef them up as much positively as you can. We know the points are going to come. The goals are there. The skill is there, and I'm just looking forward to seeing what this guy can do when he's really got his legs under him.
What really makes me happy to see is the response from the fans. Like
Yeah,
from the moment he arrived, he has been cheered and applauded and celebrated even
yeah,
before he stepped foot on the ice. Then
that's
he
right.
finally starts playing and the place is rocking. Anytime he
Yeah,
has the puck on his stick, anytime he scores, especially after that hat trick too. I mean, holy
yeah,
crap.
yeah,
Um, that kind of support that he's getting from the fan base, I think that helped feed his discussion where he was talking about how comfortable he is in Montreal, how happy
yeah.
he is in Montreal.
Well,
And that's a signal to other players around the league
That's
as
what
well.
that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
It's a signal to show that, this isn't a terrible place to play, and they're doing the right things and they're starting to bring in the right players, and they're bringing in the right people to um, build up this organization to its former glory. Let's just say that. And if you want to play in the in you look around the league and player after player after player and all these player polls that they talk about. So what's your favorite place to play? Majority of them say the Bell Center. Could this be a star player that can move the needle, that can be more of a spokesman to bring in some of these bigger name free agents? Because you got Demonov coming. I still think the Canadians need a second line center. But
Yeah.
what do you
Yeah,
think a
they do.
line?
They really
What do
do.
you think? What do you think a line could look like with Demidov insert center here and Laine, and then you can have Caulfield, Suzuki, and Slavkovsky on your top line.
You'd finally have two strong scoring lines.
Right.
And then you look down at the bottom six. I mean, the Canadians, if they keep Jake Evans, great.
Yeah.
It's a possibility they don't, but let's say he's still there at a reasonable price. Then you have
Yeah.
Beck that's coming up.
Yeah.
They've Florian Jack, who by the way had a 5 point night last
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
I mean, we're looking at guys who can big, strong, powerful players
Yeah.
who
Competitive.
can
Competitive players.
very competitive. They can
Yeah.
play a role. They can play a
Yeah.
role in the bottom six, and that's what the Canadians need. Those inexpensive role players in the bottom six who can eat minutes, who can play on the penalty kill, who can really wear down the opponent.
Right.
Meanwhile, you have those two top six. You got that top six with two lines that are really just dangerous anytime they have
Right.
the puck.
Right.
That's what they need. And this blue line is starting to come together a little bit. Goaltending, I mean, Pierre Maguire can't stop raving
Yeah. Yeah.
about Jacob Fowler.
Yeah.
And honestly, I can't blame him. The kid looks amazing.
He does.
Just don't rush him.
But yeah, exactly. Do not rush this kid. This is the one that you don't fuck up. This is the
Yeah.
player that we've seen it time and time again. Some of these young guys have come in a little bit too quick. Um, the one that I'm going to applaud are the Calgary Flames. They have something in Dustin
With
Wolf,
Dustin
and they
Wolf.
and they
Yeah.
could have brought him in much sooner, and they kept him down in the AHL pretty much as long as they could. And so far, it's paid dividends, and he's looked very, very good for them. And he's dominated every league that he's played, and despite his small stature, he's really done a very good job. And I'd love to see Fowler jump into the league as soon as possible. I would, but at the same time, take your time with this kid, and you know what you have at the end of the day. You have a legitimate starter. Just let him get there first.
Which we only have a few minutes left, but there's that brings me to the last point here on the draft coming up in 2025, the Canadiens are looking like they're probably going to end up with a top 10 pick. So like
Yeah.
5 to 12, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
And I just put this out on rg.org today. I have some sources that have confirmed that the Canadiens have a target with that
Okay.
top pick.
Okay.
And they're willing to trade up or down or do whatever they need to do to get him. And that is the Moncton Wildcats center, Caleb Denway. This
Well, he
kid
look.
fits exactly what they're looking for.
He does. He's a solid solid two-way center, playing all sorts of situations, and I think that he'd be a great pick anywhere that he's, um, all the tournaments that he's played in, or just that rookie showcase that they just had. He was
Yeah.
the he was an MVP in that. I think that sky's the limit for this guy. I think that he's going to do very well, and I would not be disappointed whatsoever with that selection in the first round.
And another reason why I kind of segued to this player when I did is he is described by every scout that I talk to, and I scout as well. All the scouts, when we're talking, he's a gamer, just
Yeah,
like Fowler. You know
right,
that special that everybody saw after the 2022 draft, where or 23 draft, where they were talking about the two goalies. This guy's really good, really technical, but this guy's a gamer. He's there to
right.
win.
Yeah,
That's that's the type of player Denway is,
yeah,
and he's big and he's skilled and he raises his game when it matters.
right.
Smart kid,
Yeah,
polite, he
yeah.
funny.
It's very
I
soft
think he'd
spoken.
do very soft spoken, but when he
Yeah,
is a dry sense of humor, but when he says
yeah,
what he says cuts, it's hilarious.
right,
Um, but I think he's got the mentality that he could uh, thrive in a market like Montreal.
right. And he was a number one pick overall in the Quebec Major Junior League draft. He's playing at a great organization with an upcoming coach. Let's just say that,
Yep.
and
Yep.
that's another guy I'm going to be looking for in the future. This is someone that used to be in St. John, and then when he left St. John and went to University of New Brunswick, it was just win after win after win. Goes over to the U18s, wins a gold with them, goes to the Moncton Wildcats. This could be a guy that you could see coaching more at a Team Canada role in the near future.
Yes. Yes, I think that's a fair assessment. He'd probably start with the World Juniors here, probably next year as an assistant
Right,
anyway.
right.
Um, but with Denway, this is a kid who he's played three international tournaments in the last year and won gold in all three,
Yeah.
and not just as a rider. Like
No, no,
he
he
was an
plays a key
important
role.
piece.
He plays a key role, and
Yeah,
he's a guy in Moncton that he plays in all situations, and
yeah,
when you want the puck on someone's stick, that's who you're going to put it on. And the team's doing well. They're looking to do a pretty deep run in the Q playoffs, and they obviously have the opportunity to possibly compete for Memorial Cup if they continue to play the way that they're playing.
yeah. I think they have a pretty good, solid opportunity for that. They're a good team. Uh, it's hard to say that when you live in Halifax to give
Yeah.
anything good to
But
Moncton.
you know what? For the longest time, it was the other way around. It was Halifax, 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 and
The way it's
they
supposed to be.
were right. And it was just the way that it was. And you look at the players that have come out of that organization, and there a lot of them are flourishing in the NHL right now.
So I'll leave it there. Check out Draft Prospects Hockey. The list is going to be out soon. I have Denway at number 7. Our list there is going to be there's some surprises on there. People are gonna it's going to get people talking, but there's reasons. You can
Yeah.
read about it in the magazine. So
You know what, I'm going to say this to social media, and I say this to Canadian social media. It's going to give you guys someone else to hate other than Grant McKeag. And I'm not saying anything bad about Grant. We love Grant,
yeah,
but this guy could say that this player is going number one overall, and you guys will hate him for it. And then it actually happens, and you still hate him for it. So,
because he was right.
because he was right, exactly. So, shout out to
No
Grant.
way he's going to go. Yeah,
So, shout out to Grant and the great work that he continues to do as well.
he inspired me to take
There you
this
go.
stance. There you
There you
go.
go.
I'm willing to take some of the hate too.
Yeah.
All right, so we've only got a couple minutes left, so I just want to just give you an opportunity for a final thought.
I'm back on the East Coast for the holidays, visiting family. As you guys can see, the backdrop isn't the same. It's nice to be home. Looking forward to just having some downtime, and looking forward to the upcoming home and home with the Red Wings. Two winnable games, in my opinion, and a game Monday against the Columbus Blue Jackets, another team that the Canadiens have played very well against this season. Um, Other than that, again, looking forward to some home cooking and some good hockey, and maybe 3 wins.
Maybe. I At the very least, it's nice to have you back in the Maritimes.
Yeah,
I'm hoping this time we can actually, you know, shake hands across that border.
that'd be nice.
In the meantime, I'd like to send out our love to Treg. He's not here today. He's dealing with some crap at home. Uh, Believe it or not, we actually do like him. We just pick on him.
We do.
So, so for everyone else, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting us. And remember, if you're talking about it, so are we.